That was the best opening ever, wasn't it not? A meditation. I like the way we started. So thank you for that, Shanti. Thank each of you for joining us today. This is one of my favorite things to talk about, energy. How many of you feel like you understand or have some concept of energy?
Yep.
Yes? And how many of you would agree that it's a large and expansive subject, is it not? Pretty broad. And because it's so broad, and I know I can tend to jump all over the place, I put some notes together to help me stay focused today. My name is Umar Al-Duha. I'm originally from San Antonio, Texas. Born and raised in Texas, love Texas. And I found myself as a child drawn to Madame Blavatsky's work. I didn't understand it, but this is an original copy of one of my father's books. And this is one of the few books I took when he passed back with me. I think it was like 5 books, and this was one of them. And I still don't fully understand this book, but I keep it with me and I'm studying along with you all. I didn't know about the Theosophic Society. I didn't know you all existed, and ended up finding out when I lived in the Heights that you all were right down the street. And that was a sign for me. I was so excited to know I was this much closer to finding out about you all. A little bit of backstory. I'm going to try to be brief with my biography so that I can get to the healing part of our session today. Born and raised in San Antonio, I moved to Houston around 2001, and I found myself as a hairdresser drawn into the world of partying, drugs, drinking. I was very upset about my life. I did not like who I was as a person. I thought that the world was very unfair. I thought that I had been really cursed with a terrible predisposition. Like many of us, I didn't feel like I came from the right family. I didn't feel like I had the right tools, and I somehow felt inadequate. And in the deepest, darkest moments of my life, I was turned on to energy work. And it really was a part of my salvation. It wasn't the total thing that saved me, but it was a huge part of me transitioning into the adult and the human I am today. So with that being said, what is energy? We know that it's in all things. We know that it can neither be created or destroyed. We know that it transmutes. We also know that it can be light, and it can also be very dense. Now, when we talk about bad energy, or we didn't like the vibe, it wasn't a good vibe, we are often referring to dense energy. We know that light energy can be light and airy and positive and free-flowing. We also know that energy can travel, that it flows, that it can transfer, and we know that thoughts are energy. And I want to talk a little bit about beliefs, trauma, and triggers, because these are all aspects that are affected by our energy that surrounds us. You know, we have energy inside of us. We are energy. All things are energy. And we, in a sense, are governed by our belief systems. We are shaped by our traumas, and we are pushed and pulled by our triggers. And some of these triggers are emotional, some of them are physical, and some of them are physiological. One of the things that I want to do for you is a very small exercise around beliefs. We're going to take something like money. And I got this idea at 11 p.m. at night. So please excuse me if some of the writing is not so legible. But some of the concepts that we have around the energy of money are things like, I'm not in the right career, therefore I can't make enough money. Some other beliefs that we may have about something like money is that money is really hard to come by, that I must work hard for money. And what I'm going to do with this demonstration is kind of paint a picture of how something so nebulous and abstract and not even tangible in many cases can affect our energy flow, how much energy we're able to take in, transmute, and how we can affect things out in the world. Another belief about money, you have to be lucky to make a lot of money. Some of the things that we tell ourselves around money, I did not have the right opportunities. The other guy was lucky, I wasn't. If I make too much money, and a lot of people have this one, what will my friends and family think? I bet everyone can finish this one. Money is the root of all evil. So these are the things that start to develop and play out in our mind, and these programs run in the background, and sometimes they go unnoticed. And that is how Indigo Healing emerged for me, through my pain, through all of these disempowering beliefs that I had about myself and about the world. It sent me on a quest. And I have sought help from energy healers and still seek today help from energy healers in addition to doing my own work. Now, 4 or 5 empaths who I worked with told me I would be doing energy work. And at the time, I did not see how that would ever happen. I was a hairdresser. I am still a hairdresser. I love hairdressing. I live, eat, sleep, and breathe hair. But something started to emerge, and it was almost like it took over and I could not control it. And Indigo Healing was born. It was born out of my own personal research, some things I got through meditation, some things that I learned on YouTube, and some things I learned from other energy healers. So that's how I got here. I didn't go to any special schools. No one gave me any formal training. It just kind of evolved into this desire to help myself as well as others heal out in the world. The modalities that I use are sage bathing, crystal bathing, salt bathing, sound bathing, aromatherapy, and emotional freedom technique. I'm gonna just change my screen down here so you can see it. And what I treat in my sessions are auric fields, chakras, the meridian systems in the body, the amygdala, and the subconscious. I don't think you guys can see subconscious. It looks like it's cut off. So
we can see.
Okay. Now, I don't know if everyone in the audience is familiar with chakras, but this is a little diagram that I drew for you all so that we can see the energy vortexes in the body that I like to work on and to align. These sometimes get thrown out of whack whenever we experience disempowering beliefs. We are thrust into a trauma or traumatic situation, and also when we have an emotional trigger. So, for example, if your heart is broken, your heart chakra may close. Hard truths. If someone tells you something that is hard to swallow and asks you for a response, your throat chakra may close up. All of your chakras may, in fact, close up. It's not uncommon that through loss, these centers close and may not open for quite some time. So my goal in doing this work is to help us just be better people and to stay balanced and to keep these energy systems flowing. Because when these energy systems flow at their optimal levels, we as human beings can accomplish great things. We can heal, we can help others heal, we can amplify a vibration out into the world that really does bring about almost a miracle. When we get to the emotional freedom technique, which works on the different meridians in the body, we will be tapping on the top of the head, in between the eyebrows, under the eye, under the nose, under the chin, collarbone, and underarm. I'm trying to move through this as quickly as possible so I can get to the live session that we're going to co-create today. I love to co-create. I love to play with others, and we'll have a chance to do that. I feel like sometimes the best way to really tell someone what it is that Indigo Healing is to show them and allow you to experience it for yourself. The body and the way the session is set up, the body of the work we're going to do today, kind of starts with affirmative prayer. Many of us have been taught to do what I call supplication prayers, where we're in effect begging God to help us, save us, fix things, allow our lives to work better. That's how many of us were taught to pray. And for those of us who have studied books of faith, affirmative prayer is the way we were actually taught that we should pray. And I found affirmative prayer very difficult in the beginning, but have really, really started to embody these principles that are taught like in the Bible, which show us that we can claim it and feel it as it already is. Many books of faith talk about that. And today we're going to practice each of these things so that we can co-create this session together. The beauty of in co-creating this session is not only are we going to work to heal one specific person, we're going to ask for a volunteer, but we are also going to get the benefits of that healing. The next thing after the affirmative prayer is I set the intention and I begin declaring immediately. One of the things that I've learned is you have to claim your energetic space. You have to tell those particles of consciousness what you want to do, what you want them to do, and they will respond to you. And this is a beautiful thing to watch happen. The next thing that I begin to do after we've set the intention and we've made a few declarations is I start to anoint myself as well as the other person, and I consecrate the space. And consecrating the space for me, I don't know what it conjures in your mind, but for me, I bring in essential oils, things like rose water. I have different mists that have essential oils that are supposed to raise the vibration. Anytime you're going to be communicating with spirit and the angels, you really want to bring in a higher vibration so that they immediately come into the space and we hear them more clearly. Then we diagnose. And I diagnose really by two methods. The tarot cards, which links to your subconscious mind. And I like to use the pendulum. One thing I forgot to mention, you will hear me sometimes using words interchangeably. And I do this not so much because I am confused, but I do this because what I understand about words today, just like the word money, a word can carry so much energy, and my goal is to maximize what you take out of the session. So I may use a word like angels, I may use a word like subconscious, and I may use them simultaneously, and you would think, Umar, but that doesn't make sense. Subconscious and angels are not the same thing. The reason I do that is because however your approach works for you and what you believe in, my goal is to connect with you. So I may say source, I may say creator, I may say field of intelligence, and whatever really resonates with you, allow that connection to work for you. The other thing that my goal is with us today, it's kind of like the setup for the session, and I call it suspending disbelief. There is a rational side of our brain that will want to take over. And when I say suspend disbelief, I'm not asking you to believe as I believe. or to try to see what I see, but to turn that part of your brain off that is quick to judge or try to create a story. Our brain loves to create a story. So the exercise that I want us to practice today is being a video camera. So imagine yourself as a video camera and you're simply an observer. And then when we click into a participant mode, we're gonna all co-create each other and co-create this session. So you all get to heal today along with me, and I get to heal today along with you. So thank you for helping me heal today. Next is the treatment phase. After we get the diagnosis, the tarot kind of tells me subconsciously what is going on and what is playing out for that person, both in the past and in real time. And it gives me some insight into how this person is being affected by their environment. And it gives me a brief sketch of what the outcome could be. Now, there is no outcome that is set in stone, and that's where we come in. We have an opportunity to transmute the energy and change it if it turns out that there is a negative outcome that is manifesting. It also allows us to see where some of the challenges that you may have, like the blocks to fulfillment, the blocks to understanding, or even playing out what it is that you're trying to play out, manifesting. It allows us to see those blocks. And then the treatment phase, which is both the EFT, the sound bathing, the crystal bathing. And I will try to dive into each of them a little bit. We don't have full time to dive into everything, so I apologize if there's anything that seems incomplete for you today. But with our limited amount of time, I want to be kind of as general as I can to get through the sessions, to get to the question and answer phase of this. At this time, do I have a volunteer? Anyone want to volunteer? Anyone? Some you all are on mute. Can we unmute?
I'll volunteer.
Is that you, Shanti?
No, Janice.
Denise?
Yes.
Janice Griffin.
All right, Janice, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. I'm going to switch to where I can see you.
Okay.
And where are you, Janice? Let's see. Are you registered with just your phone number?
And you have to move the bar to the right or left to see her face.
Okay.
There's a bar on the top.
Okay, let's see. All right, are we ready to start?
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, I'm going to start by lighting our sage. Denise, do I have permission to treat you today?
Yes, you do.
Okay. Source Creator, we thank you for today's powerful session. We thank you for everyone who has joined us to co-create this experience. We thank you for the opportunity to communicate with you once again. And we also thank you for all of the wonderful answers you're going to give us today for Janine's session, for Janice's session, and for each of us to heal in our own particular way. We thank you, Source Creator, for making this happen in real time in all points of space. We thank you for protecting us, for sending angels and spirit guides and spirit groups who watch out for us, who bless us with new ideas, open channels of communication, creativity. We thank you for our well-being and being safe and healthy at this time. We thank you for all who have gathered here today and for the wonderful answers that are coming to each of us now individually in our own personal way. We thank you for blessing us and opening up doors, new opportunities, new pathways, for new relationships that will foster great things. We thank you for things that we think are miracles that are happening now. That's our affirmative prayer. We set the intention that all will be healed today and that this will permeate out into the world, bringing about change, peace, calm, tranquility, and new visions for all humanity. At this time, I now call everyone on the Zoom calls, angels and spirit guides. I also now call my own angels and spirit guides. And now through the power of concentration, I'm going to ask that Janice, you envision yourself shrinking really nice and small for me and jumping onto this plate.
Okay.
And I'm going to work on you remotely today. Next, I'm going to use vetiver oil. Vetiver oil is a great grounding oil. Let's see if I can show you that. The next thing is I have a blend of oil for my third eye. For any of you who use oils, you might want to keep it off of your face to keep yourself from breaking out. The next thing I'm using is rose water. And what you're noticing is everything I'm doing, all of these rituals is to prepare the subconscious mind to relax. And also we're raising the vibration. You all can't see, but I have lots of salt set around, so I'm salt bathing us. And what I'm doing is also clearing out our energetic field, known as the auric field. And I'm preparing this space and making it sacred. At this time, I ask all energies, entities, and thought forms that do not serve our highest good to leave now. You are not welcome. So we are claiming the space so that the work that we can do here is positive in nature and reinforced in love. That's very important. We want to mark our territory. Okay? Are we ready to start the session? I'm going to grab us a pen. I'll be right back. There will be times when I'll talk directly to Janice, and then there'll be times when I'll be speaking to our angels and spirit guides. Does Janice have any cording to her right now? Okay. So we are all energy, and sometimes we cord to one another. Usually we cord to lovers, people that we have any type of transaction with, friends, family members, spouses, children, even enemies, we can cord to them as well. And sometimes that with that transfer of energy, you can feel drained. So we're going to ask Archangel Michael to sever those cords now. We now call Janice's energy back to her. And we ask that energy that needs to be returned to someone else, we return to sender now. So as we go deeper into this work, what we're doing is strengthening the energy fields and cutting anything that needs to be cut. Okay. Do we need to sage, Janice? Okay, so we don't need the sage, Janice. Sometimes they are requiring that we do, but not in this instant. Are there any chakras that we will be balancing today for Janice? First chakra, second chakra, third chakra, fourth chakra. So we're going to work in Janice's heart center today. Fifth chakra, sixth chakra, seventh chakra. Do you wish to start the reading with her now? Okay. Is there something else that needs to be cleared before we start? Do you want to start sound bathing her first? No. Are we adding crystals to her now? Are you wanting group participation at this time? Okay, not yet. Do you want to start with questions for Janice? Do you want her to start the question for the tarot spread? Okay. Are you ready to work with tarot now with her? Okay. So they're ready to start the reading with you now. So I want you to imagine as I shuffle, you are shuffling these cards. Janice,
Yes.
do you have a question? And a big life question.
That's what I'm trying to see. Am I in alignment with my divine purpose?
So I'm going to rephrase that question for you. Can you tell us what Janice needs to know about her divine person, her divine path?
Yes, divine purpose. Yeah.
Okay, divine purpose. There will be times I'm talking to you, Janice, and there'll be times that I'm talking to the angels.
Okay.
Can you tell me a little bit about Two of Cups? Is that working for her? Is it working against her? Okay. Is she needing to have more friends around her? Is she needing to work on her friendships? Okay. Is this the Seven of Swords? Did someone steal from Janice? Okay. Sometimes I'm going to ask you to confirm some things, Janice.
Okay.
These cards can have several meanings. Just to kind of start you off in the reading now, you show up for me as a Queen of Cups. Queen of Cups represents a very intuitive person, a person that has the ability to dive in deep with their emotions, and also has the ability to be receptive to both inside influence from subconscious and also outside influence. So you can take things very personally and things can affect you deeply. Sometimes things that seem very casual to other people, like maybe a conversation, someone may joke with you and it may hurt you, whereas it may roll off another person's back. Is that a confirmation? Do I get a confirmation on that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm feeling a lot of emotion coming through right now. I almost want to cry. I'm sensing in the past someone has stolen something from you and it's pushing you away from your friends and people that you would normally be close to. Have you recently been in an environment where you felt like you had to be careful, guard yourself?
I would say my work environment, I really had to fight for myself very hard. So I removed myself and then I kind of transitioned into working less for them, but making them work for me more than me working for them.
Okay.
So I had to flip it.
This is the recent past. This is something that just happened, right? Like it's not
Like,
in the present.
No, it happened like last year, like mid last.
Yeah, this is showing in the past position.
Okay.
So this is influences that will help you or stand in your way. And what this card is telling me is that right now you need to work on friendships. There is something that is blocking you right now from connecting with people. And it looks like it may have something to do with the environment. So there may be some traumas that are in your subconscious mind that don't even register for you consciously. Remember that display I did earlier about money. So I wanted to do that in hopes of showing you that when we have a traumatic event, we start to make up beliefs about that event. So some of those events may make us say, I can't trust people. People will hurt you if you let them in. I have to be more careful with who I trust. We can have all these beliefs from one traumatic event. And when we do this work, our goal is to get to the bottom of what is blocking us. Now, this is a very pleasant card, and this is the card that is motivating you in your subconscious mind right now. This is a card of friendship. This is a card of connecting with almost like a familiar type energy, like a big brother, big sister type energy. A very loving card that really tells me at your core, you're a person that values friendship. You're a person that values that special, those special relationships. And right now that is showing up as out of balance for you. Okay. Is this King of Cups a person? Is this King of Cups representing the energy that embodies now? Okay. Is this event-based? Is this event-based? Okay. Is this related to work situation? Okay. So in regards to your life purpose, because that's what the question that we ask about, is it starts to come together piece by piece. This is a puzzle for us. So to me, the Knight of Cups represents an energy that is moving at a slow and steady pace. And what this means for us in relation to your question, consciously, you're a receptive person and you're a romantic at heart. So when you go into an environment in the past, like the one you were in a year ago, and you have to almost act in a stealth way, because if you look at this guy, he's very stealthy. He's almost sneaking around and he's stealing the swords. It's almost like he didn't choose to do this. He was almost put into this situation.
Right. Exactly.
This is what this card tells me. And this is what's out of balance, that connection, that friendship. Now, remember, we talked about your subconscious mind, and at your core, you love and value friendship. You love and value those feelings of being able to share love at your core. That's in your subconscious. Consciously, you are romantic. You love to give. You're very receptive. So this is the reading just kind of confirming where you are and who you are as a person. So this will help you define your purpose. Your purpose is love. You enjoy love. Not everybody does, by the way. Is this about her holding on to finances? Is this about her being greedy? Being stingy? Okay. One of the things that I tell people is that no card is a bad card. We've invited your angels and spirit guides into the space. And I often tell people, and myself included, because not every card you get is going to be a card that feels very good. But our goal is to transmute the information and make it what we want it to be. And the next card that shows up for us is a 4 of Pentacles. And what this tells me right now is you are being stingy with your resources. So where you could be giving them a little more love and sharing more with people, you have decided to hold on to things. Do you agree? Do I get a confirmation? Does that seem off for you?
I agree. I'm working on putting myself out there more and trying to share the knowledge that I have. Yeah.
Okay. And this is, let me ask this, is this more about material goods? It's more about material. And this is more about material goods.
Okay.
So there may be something tangible for you that you could freely give if you wanted to, but for some reason it's just not flowing for you. And I go back to this card. So maybe there are friends, family members, people that you could be sharing maybe more of your time, more of your material wealth, more of yourself, but there is a holding back somewhere.
Okay.
And maybe this is part of your purpose. Maybe that thing that needs to be released today will get unblocked for you. Because there's something that you ask about, what is my life? Am I on my life purpose? And what this is telling me is that you're holding back somewhere.
Okay.
Pentacles often talk about material goods. So it may be time, it may be resources that you have. Now, how does Janice see herself in the situation? This is a card of celebration. So this could be event-based. This could be telling me that something for you may be coming up that you will be celebrating. Does this have to do with an event? And when I get a card like this, what this tells me is I want to utilize this energy. If something is coming up for us that is going to be very powerful, very like a party, good news, somebody getting married, somebody having a child being born, this is an opportunity for you to use this energy. And what I mean by that is to take advantage of it and milk it for all it's worth. So vibrationally, when this thing manifests into material plane, you want to celebrate it, you want to milk it, you want to be in the biggest state of joy you can, because healing will occur here.
Umar, what is the name of that card?
This is a 4 of Wands. And please, if I miss out and don't tell you, just let me know. So this is about celebration.
Thank you.
So that's how you see yourself in relation to that question. And what that tells me is two things, is that you celebrate life and that you may actually have a physical celebration coming up. So it's going to be very easy to make some progress with you today.
Good.
Now we look at how the environment influences you, and we get a page of wands. And what the page of wands is telling me, just an idea. It's an idea. Is this a message? As that you are starting a new cycle right now. And one of the things that you want to do is, as you move into this new cycle of life, is you do not want to bring some of that stagnant, stale energy into the space. So this is another clue for me as I do this spread to let me know what we need to work on. So there are some things today that as we move forward, you don't need to take with you. Okay? Is she feeling discontent now? Is this something that she needs to be aware of? Has this sometimes made her sad? Missing out on opportunity. Now this is interesting because I want us to start to notice the connection in these cards. What the tarot is saying is that you are missing out on opportunity. You see this little cloud over here and this cup that you're being offered. Now consciously, you love a good cup. You love receptivity. You're open. But right now, what this is telling me in the position that it is in is that right now you are sitting under a tree pouting. Opportunity is showing up right now. And because we're being stingy with our resources, we're not getting the full benefit of that.
Okay.
So now as we diagnose, we're coming up more and more clearly with where we're going to do our work today. And it starts with sharing. So this is where we have our block. And if you think about it, just off topic for a little bit, right now in the time that we're in with COVID-19, this is a time when each of us probably feels like we need to hold on more than anything consciously. It just seems counterintuitive at this point in time to be letting go of anything, right? I know I'm worried I don't want to spend more or give more than I need to, because what if I need it for myself? And now, for your outcome card, we end up at the King of Wands. And what does this tell us about your life's purpose? The King of Wands is an older, more mature energy. So what this lets me know is that where you are right now in relation to the question that you ask, you're very much on your path. You are a visionary. Now, King of Wands is a very broad strokes kind of person. They're not too caught up in details. So you may need to employ others. And this is why this card is so important, because you can't employ others if you have the block.
Right.
You may not reach out and get help. You may try to do everything yourself. And what this card is telling me is you're more broad strokes. You have vision. You have good vision. You'd make a great businesswoman. You would be good, very socializing and in social circumstances where you have to mingle and shoot the breeze with people.
Mm-hmm.
But with your blocks to friendship and connection right now, all of this is kind of, instead of the water hose having a nice flow of water, it's kind of trickling right now.
Okay.
Which, if you think about it, connects with our fourth chakra, that heart center. Because this is the center from which we can love, we can give, we can receive from spirit and other people. Our sixth chakra is our intuitive center. And since this is closed right now, somewhat, you might not have been as intuitive as you could fully be. This card tells me you're naturally a very intuitive person.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just going to help kind of clear and open these channels so your intuition can be back to what it normally is, and you can perceive opportunity as it comes to you. So that's our diagnostic. So far, is everything clear for you?
Crystal, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, guys, it's not a fortune teller trick. It's not a parlor trick. These cards are simply used to establish kind of where we are right now and to get some insight. The next thing that I've been doing, this is so funny. I sound bathe you. I don't think you guys can hear the tones in the background, but I've been sound bathing her. I usually start out with the 7th chakra. And the phone that I use to do the sound bathing, it automatically clicks to the 4th chakra. And I didn't have time to change it. So this is how I think our spirit guides work with us. And I find it so humorous. Sometimes they'll send us on a little scavenger hunt. And it's so beautiful when they co-create with us. So now I'm going to move, while we are sound bathing you for your 4th chakra, I'm going to bring in some stones. Today we will be using a combination of calcite, iolite, some amethyst, and a few other different stones like fluorite. What these are going to do is these are going to start to work on your chakra, your 6th and your 7th. So I'm going to start by applying a little bit of vetiver to what would be you. And this is how I often work remotely. I like the crystal bathing because it works on your auric field. I'm going to surround you in these crystals. I like to charge my crystals in the sun and also in the moon. And what the crystals do is they actually amplify whatever intention we're setting. Now, some of them have various properties. Fluorite is said to work with your mental processes. Calcite works on treating your emotional body, your emotions, helping to stabilize you. The white calcite helps with negative energy. So we're putting this all around your auric field, and if you were here, I would create a circle around you. Okay. So in this last work environment, do you feel like your trust was betrayed?
Not so much betrayed, more like I don't really know how to explain it. Like I wasn't given the respect that I should have been given.
Okay. So see, guys, I'm not psychic. What I'm doing is I'm asking her questions. We're doing a diagnostic and we're gathering information. And the treatment that we do comes together so organically. It's created moment by moment. There is no preset script. We know that these chakras are the chakras that need to be open. We know that we need to work on friendship. We know that Janice feels like she was not respected. So now I'm going to dig a little bit deeper so I can find out more information so that we can get some kind of key phrases as we do our emotional freedom technique to help move this stuck energy and reopen the heart center and to put in some powerful affirmations that we want to change subconscious messages around not being respected, imbalanced friendships, imbalanced relationships in general. So we know that based on her King of Wands that she's on her life purpose. You're a visionary. And what that card tells me, the King of Wands, is that you have whatever vision you set forth, the universe is going to thumbs up it. It's like whatever you want to do, we're all game, we're here for you. Stop asking us what your life purpose is and live your life purpose. It's whatever you want it to be. And that's really kind of a confusing space for us because on one hand, we almost kind of want God, the universe, we want someone to tell us what to do so that we can take a lot of responsibility off of ourselves and say, well, this didn't turn out right. I did what you told me to do, right?
Right.
But the universe is saying, you write the script. We're not here to tell you what to do. Go live your life. What they are saying, though, is that we can do some healing around your feelings about not being respected because there were some beliefs that you left with when you left that place a year ago. There were some things that you decided at that very moment when you said, you know what, you're going to work for me, I'm not going to work for you. Now, some of those things may have been positive, but some of them may have also created imbalance in your relationships. Do I get a confirmation on that? Okay. And they're giving me a yes on that. I'm going to point at you. I have a little relationship with the angels. When I point, they know what that means. And I'm just going to check with them. You know what it means when I do this. Okay. Is it okay to ask the questions about value that I want to ask? Okay. Does Janice feel valued at this moment? Yes, you do feel valued at the moment. Does she feel like she's not respected in most environments that she walks into? No. Does she still have trauma that needs to heal around that work environment? Okay, yes. Is it on a scale from 1 to 10, is it more than a 5? Yes, okay. So they really want to treat you today for that environment that you left. Because I just asked them, do you feel valued? And I got a yes. Sometimes with people, it's a no. Does Janice feel loved? Okay. And what it's saying right now is that you are not feeling loved. You're not feeling the experience of love the way you want to feel it. Do I get a confirmation on that?
From the environment that I was talking about or in general?
Is this in general? Is this in general? It's not in general in relationship to the environment that she was in. In relationship to the environment that you were in.
Okay, yes.
Okay. And with, let's see if I can find this card quickly. And what this card says subconsciously is that you love love.
Mm-hmm.
If you notice, these two little beings in the Four of Cups, they're exchanging flowers with one another. And this is your subconscious placement. So consciously and subconsciously, you're in the same vein. Everything is flowing together. Now, sometimes consciously and unconsciously, we're not on the same page. So sometimes in a reading that I will get two different positions that tell me that this person is in conflict. Okay. So we're all going to participate today in the EFT portion of the session. We're going to open up with a little visualization. So everyone, focus on Janice. We're going to focus on you for a second.
Okay.
And we are going to send you the love that you wanted while working in that place. We're going to start to transmute some of that imbalance so that you can heal and move forward. Because right now, what your reading has shown is that if there are any blocks that are holding you back, this one is a priority right now. There may be others, or there may be no others. This is the priority that they're going to focus with us today. So everybody, take a good look at Janice. We want to memorize her face, the shirt she has on. We want to see her surrounded by coworkers that support her ideas. People who value her. We're going to rewrite your story, Janice. Seeing you smiling and laughing, and just feeling right now in this heart center, just feeling overwhelming love and support from the staff that you work with. Maybe this time you're the boss. Maybe it's your own company. Maybe Janice's dream, her vision is coming to life through this group that supports her. And this visualization is so powerful right now because we are all helping to co-create and support Janice. Maybe Janice, there's a part of your mind saying, girl, this ain't real. You know it's hard. You know you have to have X amount of dollars in the bank account to operate the way you want to operate. Maybe you need more certifications. I don't know. But we're going to support you right now and just envision people glad to listen to you, glad to take into your perspective or take in your perspective and support you. And I want you to feel that and imagine that for yourself. We're just going to take 30 more seconds. All right. Come on back when you're ready. So now what we're doing is we're gradually shifting the energy. We're starting to allow new vision. We've suspended disbelief, so we're not fighting with this new vision as it emerges. We're just imagining the possibility. So there's no need for the conscious mind to say, oh, you liar, this is not going to happen. Do we want a sound bait for another chakra now? You want to stay on the fourth. Okay, so they're going to really stay on the fourth chakra. Are there any heart walls? Are there any heart walls that need to be removed today? So it looks like you have some heart walls. You're around your fourth chakra that kind of, you had to put on this armor to kind of protect yourself. And we need to make sure today we remove some of that armor. Open that heart back up. So we also have heart walls that we want to bust down today. And heart walls can form when our trust with people is broken, when we feel betrayed, when we feel not valued. It's almost like we create this armor around our heart. And what can happen is after years of doing this, you simply keel over from a heart attack. Because your heart was meant to be open, it was never meant to be closed. So oftentimes, like for people with the heart block center, we will see respiratory issues like COVID-19. And it lets us know that our heart is not open. Sometimes we'll experience chest pains, trouble breathing, muscle cramps in and around this area. These are all signs that the body is giving us that lets us know that there's energy not flowing the way it should flow. So now that we've kind of established the basis of things to work on, we have an outline. I'm going to ask the angels to give us some phrases. Can you help us with the EFT portion of our session? Okay. Can you give us some concise statements that allow us to finish this session in 15 minutes? You want to work a little bit longer. Okay. All right. So each of us in our own way right now that we've helped Janice, we're going to help ourselves. So this is the part where each of us gets to do our own session work while we support Janice in her session work. So let's go back to the question, is there anything that I need to know about my life path and my life purpose? Am I on my life path? Am I on my life purpose? And the answer was yes. But these are the blocks that are standing in your way, right? And from a very basic human level, on somewhere in each of us, we're probably dealing with a past situation where we don't feel like we were respected. Someone said something or did something and we left feeling disrespected. And this created an imbalance in us. And it may have changed the way we view relationships, thus creating heart walls. So guess what each of us are going to do today? Thanks to Janice, we're all going to work on our friendship. That's what we're going to do. So everyone just kind of scan your body right now. Janice, scan your body. Everybody's going to scan their body. And when you scan your body, what you're looking for is areas where you may feel tight, sore, constricted. And after we scan our body, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to scan our thoughts about that time where we have felt not respected. Everybody go ahead and go there. Maybe it was a friend, a coworker. Maybe you were in the grocery store and someone cut in front of you and it just left a very nasty feeling in your heart and soul. We're going to each get our situation. And now what you want to do is let those feelings come up. You don't want to hold those feelings back. Maybe you've been to counseling and they told you to let it go. It's in the past, but maybe you haven't. Maybe it's still there. Maybe it's very fresh on your mind as I ask you to bring it up now. Maybe you can recall it. Maybe it was a family member, a friend, a lover, a child. But you want to bring that situation into your mind, and you want to bring the one that stands out the most because it may be multiple depending on where you are right now in your life. When you have gotten that situation firmly fixed in your mind, you want to go ahead and open your eyes. And I'm taking you to the chart on EFT. Just to remind you where the points that we're going to tap on. Now I'm going to be tapping with you, and each of you will just repeat after me. You'll echo me. Normally when we do an EFT session, the focus of that session is to have a setup statement. And this setup statement is going to embody the emotion that you're feeling about this topic that you want to talk about. And heal while you tap. So for us, it's going to be disrespect. And I'm going to start at the karate chop point. And I'm just going to have you guys tap with me. If you had to label that disrespect on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, 1 being you're kind of neutral about it. But if it's the one that's most prominent in your head, it's probably not a 1. Oh, yes. Okay, are we there? I just thought of a really good one for myself. That's what that oh, yes was about. So as we tap, You're going to repeat after me. Even though I feel this disrespect, I completely love and accept myself. Even though I was disrespected, I completely love and forgive myself. This shouldn't have happened. I didn't do anything wrong. This shouldn't have happened. Why did this happen to me? This disrespect. This is not how I operate. I don't like the way I feel when I'm disrespected. This is not fair. This really hurts. This shouldn't have happened. So we're just going to connect with that feeling. For me, I feel it right now in the pit of my stomach. I wish I had more control over what happened. It wouldn't have happened this way if I would have had more control. This is not fair. This thing that happened, this disrespect, all of this disrespect shouldn't have happened to me. Some of you may start to feel feelings of indignation, a little bit of anger, a little bit of sorrow, and that's okay. You do not want to stifle that feeling down. You want to connect with it. All this anger, all this anxiety that I feel from this disrespect, I'm worth so much more than I feel in this situation. Why do people behave this way? God, I wish the situation would have happened differently. I really don't like what happened. I don't like the way I feel. And this is the point where you want to start breathing deeply. Noticing the shift of energy as we tap. Opening up our heart. Just allowing all of the feelings, being present with all of them. Not trying to push anything down, but allowing it to come up so that we can let it go and release it. Sometimes when I'm tapping, I like to get really silly and make people laugh just so it'll lighten up the energy, especially when you start to get those feelings in the pit of your stomach and you just want to go back in time and get in a time machine and slap that person. You would love to just go back. We're going to slap them with love today. That's how we're going to do it, energetically. We're going to just reach out and throw some flowers at them and release that feeling inside that just makes us kind of sick at the stomach when we think about all those feelings. Breathing deeply. In our heart center, just breathing in. Even though I feel disrespected, I know this feeling will pass. Feelings are just feelings. Wasn't the last time I was disrespected. Wasn't the first. Things happen. I have love in my life. I have love in my life. I have love in my life. And that is more important than the disrespect I feel in said situation. Now we're going to take a second. I love to practice visualization with you because so many of us struggle with holding vision. But I'm going to do a really simple, easy trick for you. Everybody envision a tennis ball right now while you continue tapping. Show you the power of your visualization skills. You see that tennis ball? Now turn it into a basketball. So now that we've done that simple exercise, you're going to envision a situation in which you feel loved. Maybe it's someone telling you all the good qualities that you possess. You want this feeling to be greater than the feeling of the disrespect you felt in that situation. Maybe the love that you feel from a friend, a coworker that really values your input. You just want to go there. And whatever the intensity of the disrespect you felt, you want to choose a situation that has that same intensity of love. Tapping on our crown chakra right now, imprinting that feeling of love through our visualization. Imagine how good that love feels when someone tells you about all the good things that you've brought into their life. Someone being courteous to you during COVID-19, an unexpected phone call, someone giving you a mask, giving you some valuable information, that feeling of respect. You want to embody that love and let it wash over you. And now that we have that equally matched emotion, we're just going to let go of that disrespect. Letting 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 go of that disrespect. Relaxing into love. Letting go of that disrespect on a cellular level. Releasing it from my cells now. Releasing that event from my cells now. Letting go of that disrespect on a cellular level. Letting go of all the negative emotions associated with that feeling of disrespect on a cellular level. Releasing that feeling of disrespect from my DNA. Releasing that disrespect from my DNA and all of the feelings, the negative feelings associated with that disrespect from my DNA now. Releasing that feeling of disrespect from my molecular structure now. All molecular structures in and around me now. Releasing any thought forms of that feeling of disrespect now. Releasing any residual, unwanted emotions and thought forms in my mind regarding this event now. Removing any negative emotions from my consciousness regarding this situation now. Removing any negative emotions, any trapped negative emotions from my organs now. Removing any negative emotions trapped in my body from all the tissues in my muscles now. Clearing out my meridian systems now. Relaxing into love. Surrounding this situation with love. Transmuting this situation to love. Amplifying any positive experiences out of this situation now. remembering and appreciating the good from this situation now. Being in gratitude for any opportunity that may have come as a result of this situation now. Imprinting this love into my cells now. And now we're going to move to our God points, and we're going to get really silly, because anything you emotionalize has the potential to penetrate into our subconscious mind. So everybody, just imagine you're alone and no one else can see you right now. We're going to tap the God point. Angels, Source Creator, thank you so much for performing psychic surgery on me now. Ah, this feels so good. Ah. Just shaking that residue off, cleansing our auric field. And I'm sensing they want us to move to the 6th chakra as we wrap up our session. Is that correct? The 6th will clear the 7th. Okay. So by us sound bathing for the 6th chakra and all the work that we've done, what that's going to do is go ahead and work on the 7th chakra, the crown chakra, so we won't actually need to sound bathe for that today. So, okay. Does that conclude our session for today? Okay. So we work to shift some of our feelings about not being respected. We did some work around our heart walls that were formed around this feeling about not being disrespected. Now, we may have other heart walls that need to come down, but specifically for this session, for the question that we asked, that Janice asked on our behalf, this is what we co-created together. And this is in turn going to help to open us up to new relationships. So what you may notice as this session ends, over the next few days, there may be thought forms, belief systems that you were holding on to that suddenly seem to shift. It may be subtle at first, but if you think about trajectory, over time, as it goes out further and further, that arc can separate, moving you into a whole nother space and time. So you started out at the same point, a slight shift in trajectory can end you up in 2 different places. So that's our goal, is to shift where we can, to work where we can, to take one thing at a time. Some of these belief systems we didn't build overnight. Some of these traumas didn't happen overnight. Some of them we were in them for a long season. You know, you may have been there for a year, 2 years, 3 years. So there could have been many traumas that kind of overlapped one another. But this was our focus today. We sound bathe and crystal bathe for the 4th chakra. We're sound bathing and treating the 6th chakra. And in turn, the 7th chakra is being rebalanced. Thus, us covering everything in our session. And during this time, the homework that they're giving us is to work on our friendships. They have a sense of humor, and a lot of times they are able to deliver messages to very varying crowds. So it might be one person. I find that during these sessions, I get a lot of messages for me. And I find it so neat that they can simultaneously communicate with us as a group or individually. So now I can open it up to you all for questions. So we may have to take you all off of mute, or how do we want to?
We can unmute ourselves.
Okay, awesome.
So Janice, what is your feedback? How do you feel?
I feel amazing. I have not had a tarot session. I've had different kind of like readings done, but not to that extent, and not as personal. Like it wasn't as in depth. And I found it very interesting that well, I knew it was going to be in alignment, but it was very so much in alignment that yesterday, well, at the same time I was transitioning from making my work kind of work for me. I mean, yeah, making them work for me and not me working for them. I was moving into my own business more, and I joined a women's organization. And yesterday I became the chair over the business development group. So, you know, all day yesterday I was getting congratulatory messages, and you know, I found so many people that are just connected and just want to help you grow, and just new friends, new friendships. So seeing that and hearing that, it just makes me want to call some people afterwards and be like, oh my gosh, you know, this is so in alignment, and there's so many different resources to tap into. I mean, I just feel great. So I don't feel any blockages right now. I'm just, I don't know, I'm good.
Awesome, awesome.
I just want to revisit this card, and I'm going to answer some of the questions in the chat. So when you pull this card, sometimes most of us have what I call a judge in our consciousness. And the judge is very self-critical. So sometimes when I get a card like this and it's in a position that is not, it's telling me that this is a block for me, I want to fight with that card. I want to be like, that's a lie. I have friends, I blah, 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 blah. And I want to argue with that card. But what it's saying is that they have an overview. They see all of the relationships, and they know when we are fully engaged, and they know when you're engaged at a level that is not as high as it could be. Mm-hmm. So when we get these messages, it's not to discount anything that we're doing that is positive. They're just encouraging us to live more fully, to go play all out, play full out, put your heart on the line, give it everything, take all of your chips and bet. That's what they don't want you to hold back. So I tell people, it's so funny because anybody who's had energy work, some of us, I'm still getting energy work to this day. I've been doing it for 10 years, and I'm always amazed at the blocks that I have. Areas in my life where I don't want to play full out. I don't want to lay all my cards on the table. There's a question that's asked, how did I learn how to talk to spirit guides, have relationship with angels? Were you born with this trait? To some degree, we are all born with this trait. Each of our spirit guides and spirit groups and angels are communicating with us all the time. It's like a radio signal that pulses out. And sometimes we get these messages and sometimes we don't. Sometimes you get them in meditation and you think you're just drifting off, right? All of a sudden you start getting these ideas and your brain is firing as you're trying to calm the body. This is your angels, spirit guides. They're just pinging these messages to us. If you think about great artists, great poets, sometimes when asked, how did they just flow? It just came to me. Wasn't anything I did. So basically, learning to get out of the way. And it's very hard. It does not come naturally for me. I have to, doing these things that you see me do, all of these rituals, It's preparing my mind and giving my mind the signals to know, hey, he's about to work. You need to calm down, rational brain, and go over there and let Umar work. Now, do they come to me? Do I hear them audibly? No, I don't. I still use the pendulum. I'm actually being trained right now to increase my psychic development. There are lots of exercises that each of us can do. Meditation helps raising your vibration. The foods that you choose to eat help raise your vibration or lower it. So these are going to be all the ways that you can hear your angels and your spirit guides and your inner guardian. So your inner guardian can also be talking to you. And sometimes they tell you things like, go to Starbucks right now. I had this happen to me and I'm like, I don't have time to go to Starbucks. I have so much to do today. Go to Starbucks right now. I had the feeling. So I was like, okay, I don't listen sometimes. So I'm going to go ahead and pull over here. And I had a little bit of an attitude and I took a notebook into Starbucks, and for that 10 or 15 minutes I was there, I was able to write down some of the ideas that were trapped in my brain. And they just wanted me to sit there and write, because we're always so busy. And this is why we can't hear our angels and our spirit guides a lot of the time. We don't like quiet. So sometimes just sitting in that solitude, it may come in the form of an idea, a notion. Call this person. Why am I going to call that person? They're probably busy at work. Call that person. It may be something as simple as going to the mall. It may be something as simple as going for a walk in the park. But these are all excellent times for us to hear our angels. Let's talk about the drug experience, because for me, I saw things fully play out in the spiritual realm, and it was very bizarre. So they actually began talking to me then. Archangel Michael, I felt like communicated with me the most. I was able to see some things so clearly, but in all honesty, I wish I would have chosen a more spiritual way to see it, because it was very hard on my mind and my body, and it took a very long time to recover psychologically, and just being able to, I still connected. Don't get me wrong. It was still a great connection, because the thing that we fail to realize sometimes is we are so worthy of God consciousness interacting with us. Sometimes we think because we have shame, because we have guilt, because we've behaved a certain way in a situation, we move into worthlessness sometimes. And I think that was God's way of showing me that, hey, I will never disconnect from you. No matter what you do, no matter how bad you think it is, you are connected to me regardless. I'm on this walk and this journey with you. And that was a valuable lesson. And I've been very skeptical to share my drug story with people, because it's not something that I particularly feel is anybody's business. It was my path, but I'm sharing it with you today so that you can see, no matter where you are, no matter how deep, dark the despair is, that there is always something, a consciousness that is there talking to you. Do I have any more questions? Thank you guys. Thank you all for taking the time. How many of you feel like you've had a shift today? You feel a little bit lighter, a little less heavy? That's doing the work. That is what allows us that little bit, because they only need a little bitty opening to communicate with you. They know what we deal with in this material plane. They see it, and they are like the supporting cast to help us. They love us so much, and they are so interested in what we're doing at every moment. So for anyone in their spirit right now who does not feel that value or feel that love, They want you to know that they are on our side. They're there for us all the time, no matter what we're walking through. So,
Umar, I do have one question.
yes.
I think I was writing and I missed the name of the card with where he was sitting under the tree and there was a cloud.
That is the Four of Cups.
Okay.
And what the Four of Cups comes more as an advice card. What that is telling us is to not miss out on opportunity by being moody or brooding or just feeling that discontent. You know how sometimes we still kind of feel what they call some type of way. You know?
Yeah.
And even though we think, okay, that situation was a year ago, we may still carry it with us. And we don't want to carry that into your next season.
Okay.
Yes, they walk with all of us.
It's good to know that angels, spirits, and source doesn't judge us. We judge ourselves.
Right.
Just need to be open. And I want to say I'm very appreciative of Umar's work. As much work as I've done on myself, and some of you know I've done a lot of work on myself. I had the opportunity to work with Umar 2 times, once in person, and the other time was online. And both times it was my heart chakra. I'm very sensitive in the heart chakra. I've done a lot of work in my heart center to open up, and I feel energy a lot through, and to honestly, it's through meditation and all that stuff. Anyway, to cut a long story short, first time Umar opened up my heart center, and I had no idea. I just let him do what he had to do, and 3 days later, something magical happened and mystical. I never expected. Someone walked into my life, and I was not looking for anybody. Someone walked into my life, and I thought I was done with a relationship. I would call it a mystical, magical moment. So, and then the second time he worked on me, again, I was processing. I tend to keep stuff in my heart center. So opening up your heart center is so important. Again, it was a heart center. Am I surprised? And then I was processing stuff I needed to process. I mean, I thought I had worked on it, but there's always a residual, something that's still hanging on. And sometimes when we're so emotionally close to a certain event or a person or something, we can't really get everything out. There's Umar, right? Magical, mystical moment where you just clear that stuff up, process it, get over it, so we can move on to live the life we need to live. We deserve to live. Thank you, Umar.
Thank you. I'm going to put my contact information up and invite each of you to a complimentary session. I will be doing these complimentary sessions to the May 18th. So I'm going to go ahead and you can text me. This is my cell number.
Omar, we cannot see.
Oh, let me
bring it up a little.
There we go.
Okay.
Is that better?
Oh yeah, there you go. That's better. Yeah, we can see now. Yeah.
I'll just leave it there. Thank all of you all today for joining me. Letting me be
so
a part
much.
of your group.
Omar, thank you for sharing with us your session today. I can see you have lots of energy surrounding you, and I believe everyone on the session actually feel the energy as well. Is that energy that help us break through the barrier, what I call the barrier that are blocking our chakra, I guess. So thank you very much for sharing with us
Thank
the
you.
knowledge.
Yes, I appreciate it so much, and I'm so glad that you asked for a volunteer. I was mad because I was a little bit late, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I was just, ecstatic. What was the name of the book that you held up earlier?
This was The Secret Doctrine, Madame Blavatsky's book. So I had this book on my shelf when I was little, and I was so intrigued. And this is why I say this is so serendipitous that I'm sitting in front of you now, because I had no idea that this organization and her body of work would play such a huge role in my life today. And it's just led me to have some phenomenal relationships, and I knew about her before I knew who she was. She was in my consciousness.
So, Omar, was your father a member of the Theosophical Society?
He actually was not. I grew up in a very strange household. My father was a very knowledgeable man about a lot of things. It was not uncommon for us to have martial artists over to the house, people meditating. He would try to make us meditate when I was 7, and you could just imagine how that went. As a 7-year-old, I didn't want to sit still. So I was not unfamiliar with unusual bodies of work that were just not common to most people. We had books like this on our bookshelves. They were not just ordinary authors of fiction, and we had people that were controversial and oftentimes considered conspiracy theorists, or people who had been discredited, laughed at, made fun of. We had those authors on our shelves. We had their bodies of work.
So you are invited to join to come and visit us when this COVID-19 is over.
I will.
We meet in the Heights.
Yes, I will definitely join.
Omar, what kind of questions can one ask? Are they spiritual, or can they involve everyday problems?
They can involve everyday problems.
Okay.
The thing that I always tell people, when I first started this work, I had a mentor, and she told me, when you have an audience with a very sacred being, let's say it was Buddha, right? Would you go to Buddha with very trivial things? And I thought about that. And I was like, no, if I had an opportunity to have an audience with someone, I would take what everyday problems were important to me, and I would ask them about those. I wouldn't necessarily ask them whether, if I was painting my house, if I should choose white or green, something like that. But I would ask them things about my everyday life that bothered me. On my website, I have what I call session guidelines. Because this work in the beginning was so hard to define, I would have people ask me really silly questions like lottery numbers. They would ask me things like, does this person at work like me? And I had to really set up some guidelines, though, like to tell people, hey, the questions you can ask are about everyday life, but they need to be important questions for you. So they don't necessarily have to be about spirituality. They could be about the direction you're heading in your life. They could be about big things like, okay, I'm thinking that I want to move out of the city and I need some guidance. It could be like that. It could be like, well, I'm in a love relationship, romantic relationship, and these are my feelings. Where do I need to go? What do I need to work on? So the questions about session work are always the questions that are going to help you to heal, help you to grow. Confirmation questions, things, because a lot of the times we already have the answer to these questions, right? We just need some type of sign from God, the universe, even another person to just say, yeah, what you thought was right. What you were sensing was right. And I find that oftentimes I will get that in the cards for people. When I'm doing a session, they'll start shaking their head because they already knew. Or the other thing will happen is they'll tell me, oh, I know what situation that is. Because I get general information. I get kind of a rough sketch of what's going on. I don't get, I don't like to say I'm not psychic because we're all psychic. But I'm not developed to the point where I can fully see a situation played out. I get flashes of things and I get emotions. I know when we started your session, Janice, I wanted to cry. Like, I don't know whether I felt the weight or the heaviness that you were feeling being in that situation, but I just felt heavy, like hurt. It was weird. It was the weirdest thing. I felt hurt. So sometimes we do get those intuitive feelings and they're not our own. We're all sensitive to energy.
What's your website address?
It is beautybyumar.com, and you will go to the energy work page.
So Omar, I see that you use a lot of tarot cards. Did you learn it from a teacher or what?
I'm in one organization that we study tarot now. So I have a variety of training. I study a lot of different tarot readers. I used to go for readings myself. So I begin to kind of instinctually know what cards generally represented. But these cards, you can take a card and it can have so many meanings. Sometimes you're able to judge by the picture. There are various websites where I'll do research because no two people interpret cards the same. And that's why I like to use the pendulum, because I can ask whether it's a situation. Is it a feeling? Is it a person? I get a little more insight about subconsciously what's playing out, because our subconscious is manifesting everything that is playing out in the material world right in front of us. So even though I can take a card like the Knight of Swords, and I know generally that it may mean that this is about action, this is about movement. This may be a person. This may be an answer to your question. They may be telling you this is what you need to embody right now. You need to push through. You need to get into action. The tarot kind of tells a story. It's the cycles of life. So each card tells you a story. This could also be telling me that I'm being reckless, that I'm just bulldozing through. I'm not paying attention to anything around me. I'm just focused on getting it done. So you can see how one card can have so many meanings, and that's why I'm using the pendulum, and I'm asking your angels and spirit guides to tell me more. And I'm also checking in with you to verify if we're on track, if it resonates for you, if it doesn't resonate, because then we may have to do more questions, ask more questions. Did I answer that?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Can you talk to me a little bit more about this pendulum?
Yes.
How you work with it?
Every person who works with the pendulum works with it differently. So I ask my spirit guides to show me yes, to show me no. So they have a certain yes for me and they have a certain no for me. And then they have a maybe. What I can tell you about working with the pendulum is that it does not work if you're asking lottery ticket numbers. I already tried. Again, it comes back to reverence. When we ask Spirit to work with us, Spirit will work with us, but you can't come to it with foolishness. Does he like me? Does she like me? Should I go on a date with them? They don't care about that kind of stuff. They're really out to help you grow and evolve. And again, it all comes down to, if you had an opportunity to take up audience with, say, Gandhi or Martin Luther King, would you ask them silly questions that are not important? So they're very specific in how they work with me. They give me yes, they give me no, they give me maybe. I have done some what I call scientific tests. And what I was told is anytime you take it out of the space of reverence for spiritual practices, you will not have success with it. Something that I recently learned is when you work with the angels, they don't always understand references and words. So sometimes I have to clarify and say, do you understand the question that I'm asking? Because sometimes the words that are coming out of your mouth may not match what you're thinking. So it's just like having a conversation with you. If you didn't understand what I said. Sometimes what we're emitting is jumbled. Certain sounds, if I'm sound bathing for the first chakra, I have a hard time. It's almost like they can't hear me. Something about the frequency of that sound bathing for the first chakra throws a lot of stuff off.
So for this sunbathing, what music do you normally play?
This is a great question because I want you guys to pay attention to what speaks to you. This is part of our journey. And oftentimes we will have, I'm going to get to your question, but I'm going to take a long way around the park before I get there. So sometimes you will have these quote unquote experts and professionals tell you that, oh, you want to do things a certain way. You want to listen to this frequency. You want to work with 444 hertz. You want to pay attention to what you're called to sound bathe with, because that's important. So there will be, if you go to binaural beats on YouTube, there will be a number of beats. Shanti just turned me on to some really, really nice tones from Michael Terrell. So you can go with what resonates to you. I'm gonna lift up my phone. We're on 320 hertz now for the solar plex chakra. So I have 7 that I'm really drawn towards now that work with 1st through 7. But as I'm instructed or as I feel that I need to change, I will.
So these are pure tones, not music per se.
Some of them are music. If I'm working on myself, these are not pure. These have music in them. I'm not listening to the pure tones, but I have in the past. I've listened to pure tones before. And the reason why it's so significant to pay attention to what you're drawn to is because each of us have different size organs. My heart is not the same size as your heart. My brain is not the same size as your brain. My liver is not the same size as your liver. Each of our chakras are different. So intuitively, sometimes your higher self will say, ooh, pick that one. You won't know what it is about it, but for some reason, when you play that one, you feel a certain way. You want to listen to that because that may be a specific resonance that you or one of your organs needs, maybe one of your chakras needs. So pay attention, even when you're doing your visualization meditations, like we did earlier, and you chose the color. That's significant because that's telling you to trust your inner voice.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Shanti, for putting that up.
Yeah, I think even Alexander also gave a talk at the Houston Theosophical Society of Americas, and he, after his near-death experience, he was downloading music tones, and he came up with sacred acoustics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's meditative. So we have a few different ones that we're listing now, and I encourage each of you to go check them out. I'm going to type in also the ones I'm using for today's session. Meditative mind. And these give you very specific chakras that you sound bathe for. And this is on YouTube. Okay. Also with the crystal bathing, if you get a chance and you go to a store, pay attention to what you gravitate towards. Because sometimes your higher self is telling you what it needs. The whole field of consciousness is very intriguing how it works, because it's almost like a program that knows how to heal itself, to correct itself. So you may be drawn to certain things and you may not understand why, just like I was drawn to Madame Blavatsky's book. I never read that book in its entirety, but for some reason it was like a beacon. It always stood out to me, and it was one of the 5 books that I took out of all of my father's books. If any of you are going to start pendulum work, you want to be careful as to what pendulum talks to you. I have 6 pendulums that I use, and this is my baby. Like, me and this pendulum are so close. It's been broken 3 times, and each time I repair it and I use it over and over. Let me see. As far as you want to get it programmed, so you want to ask it to show you yes and to show you no. You can check to verify. So like I can say, show me yes. And mine goes to a circle in the right. And then I can ask, is today Saturday? Is today Saturday? And it goes yes. So sometimes you can check if it needs to be cleared. If I have a very emotional reading with myself, sometimes I need to clear it. There are different philosophies on pendulum use. Some people say it works with the subconscious. Some people say that it works with angels. Some people believe that you need to clear pendulums. Some people believe that you don't need to clear them. There are some people believe that there's a universal way to use them. Other people say program it and let it tell you what it wants to do. So there's no set structure of rules in its usage. Does anyone have any more questions about session work, or maybe something they're wanting to work on while we have a little more time before we wrap up?
Well, I just want to thank you for this session. It has been
My pleasure.
Enlightening.
Thank you. Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this. And I'm so excited about coming to some group meetings and learning more about the organization.
All right.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.